Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. I'm talking about Saturday night's main event, episode 30 that aired in January 27th of 1992. The show was shot there in Lubbock, Texas. And this was a Saturday night's main event basically to build up WrestleMania 8. This was a big powerhouse show for WWF. I think one of the main reasons why it was kind of a different style of Saturday night's main event. They made sure that all of the main players from WWE were all featured on the show. We had the likes of Hot Rod Roddy Piper. We had Hulk Hogan, Sid Justice, Ric Flair, The Undertaker, Randy Savage, and an aging Jake the Snake Roberts. One of the reasons why was because NBC decided to cut ties with WWF after the April of 1991 Saturday night's main event. The show sat dormant until early 1992 when Vince McMahon was able to sell the show to Fox. It's not really a new show. It's not really a new anything, but you can tell that there's a different style of attitude. It's almost like the Attitude Era kind of cuts. There's a new open. There's a new graphic that goes for Saturday night's main event. They're almost like trying to take it to the next generation. Even though the open is really heavy on Hulk Hogan at the time. It's just different to not see the NBC logo on the entrance when the wrestlers are coming out. It's wrestling. It's not really shot different or anything else like that, but you can really tell that something is different. They're definitely getting close to the doom period of WWF in the early 90s. When you can normally... They're shooting the wrestling in the ring, and you can see the roof of the arena, the last row of fans. You can really tell that they're in a small house that night, and they did their best. I mean, the house was full, the people were packed. It just wasn't that big. WrestleMania 8 is like one of the few WrestleManias I look at where I'm like, every guy on that card honestly kind of really means something to me in my childhood. The thing that I think about, there's no Andre the Giant. There's a few guys you can pick out that aren't on that card. But it's just one of the WrestleManias top to bottom that I can watch. And, even if the wrestling's not great, I'm like, that was a good show. Basically at the end of it. This was a good episode of Saturday night's main event. It definitely was jam-packed. The show was cut back to only being an hour long. I don't know if there was a problem with theme musics. And I know at this time a lot of them were done by like Jim Johnson. They were done in-house. They owned them. But the arena music is really piped down. You can kind of hear the themes, but they're almost in the background, like they're not supposed to be playing them, like an ECW show or something like that. So it is kind of weird. You can tell they do some cuts because some of the guys, no matter how big of a star they are, like they're already in the ring. They get the jobber entrance, and I'm talking about a guy like The Undertaker. We're early in his WWF career, but the guy had already been WWF champion. No, wait a minute. This is early 92. He wins it in 92. I apologize. But still, he was a bigger star than getting the jobber entrance, even if Ric Flair was his partner. We have the build-up to WrestleMania's 8 main event press conference, where it was chosen that Hulk Hogan would be going after the championship of Ric Flair. We all know that this changes, but they show the outcome of everybody being affected at the press conference as The Undertaker, Roddy Piper, Gene Okerlund, We have Hulk Hogan, we have Macho Man Randy Savage, and we have Sid Justice. Sid Justice flips out, basically saying that Hulk Hogan will never beat Ric Flair on his best day, but he thinks that he can. And then a few days later, we have Sid Justice apologizing to Hulk Hogan on Superstars. And I guess that's how this match comes to be. Hulk Hogan and his new friend Sid Justice are going to be teaming up against Ric Flair and The Undertaker. When Hulk Hogan comes out, he is coming out with Brutus the Barber Beefcake. My first thoughts was this is like Brutus the Barber Beefcake is hosting the Barbershop, a talk show at the time. He hadn't really been wrestling since 1990 when he had the parasailing accident. Of course, he was supposed to have the match against Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam 1990. He ends up getting replaced by Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado. Maybe because it was a surprise and they weren't giving you the match that was built up at the time. They have the Texas Tornado get the win, as we saw in the Iron Claw. But this was like the first time that Brutus had come down to ringside. This is not quite the build up to WrestleMania 9, which would be a year later. We actually made his return to the ring wearing that Ultimate Warrior style mask, I guess you can say. It's still kind of creepy to this day. And then to the fact that he was able to actually wrestle not wearing the mask like in WCW, once he went there as like the boogeyman, and he had that match with Hogan at Starrcade. So I don't know, maybe that was a mask they actually made for the Ultimate Warrior. They were going to run a gimmick. They decided they had to get their money's worth. Maybe that's why they stuck it on Beefcake. I'm not really sure. But Beefcake ends up coming down to the ring. I was sitting there kind of thinking, like, if he's such a good friend of Hulk Hogan, why isn't Hulk Hogan teaming with Brutus Beefcake in this match? Flair and Undertaker ended up cutting the ring off. Sid Justice is kind of sick of Hulk Hogan and his ways. He's not tagging Sid in, so Sid just flat out turns on him. He's not looking for a tag at any time in this match. At the time you think that he would get the hot tag, come in, clear house against Ric Flair and The Undertaker, he'd be down adjusting his knee pad, or he'd be tying his shoes, or he'd be fighting with the crowd, not even looking. And as Hogan's crawling over, The Undertaker just sneaks up behind him and cuts him off. At one point, when it finally looks like he's going to be able to make the tag and Sid's going to have to come into the match, Sid just jumps down off of the ring post and just walks to the back, just leaves Hogan out there to die. The match ends up getting thrown out by disqualification. I'm trying to remember what was that actually caused the disqualification. But it was, what was it? I don't remember. But as Flair and Undertaker are about to beat up on Hogan 2-on-1, Beefcake slides into the ring. He doesn't get hit or actually hit, the heels. He just kind of like, makes them look the other way. Hogan jumps up. Hogan starts hulking up, and he ends up throwing both guys out of the ring. As Hogan and Beefcake, they're in the ring. They're posing down, and they keep pointing up like, hey, we're going after the big guy. We want some of that Sid Justice, because Beefcake tells them like, Sid just left you. He just took off, and I guess we'd have to watch like the Superstars or something like that to find out, does Hogan just say, I don't want the belt, I want a piece of Sid? Like, how does WrestleMania get changed? And how does it basically go in a different direction? This was a great episode of Saturday Night's Main Event. Happened from a great time period of my childhood around WrestleMania 8. So I was pumped to watch this one. This one definitely was 2 thumbs up.